All right, all right, all right. Answers by guest. After Thanksgiving, stuffed, ready to go to sleep
Yes.
with some
Yes.
leftovers. What up there, guess?
That is me in a nutshell.
I love it.
My hair's
I love it.
crazy.
Looks
Look
fantastic,
at
bud. Oh, Jimmy Neutron style.
that. A little too much.
Remember, guys, like us Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Patreon. Always look for those hashtags, answers by guest and ABGFF. Good news, no buys.
Yeah, yesterday was like the bye, right? 16s.
Yeah, pretty much. Do we want to talk about the games?
I mean, three pretty good games. The guest appetizer was only about half cooked, so it wasn't
He
that
was so
bad.
close to that touchdown, man.
I know. Yeah, I mean, Dalton Schultz came through.
I
That
love
was
him.
a play we told somebody. Three good games. I mean, the the last game went over. I think I had mentioned that on the Tuesday show that was something I'd be taking and advise everybody to do so. It was over. You know, Nwangwu ran that one back and it was over.
Your boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. I made a decision to bench Kirk Cousins yesterday, which I don't know if it'll be the best decision just because I benched it for Heineke. But that game's supposed to be very rainy, supposedly. The whole East Coast could be seeing rain, so we'll see what happens. But he had a good game. I mean, it was a good comeback game. We had mentioned it was going to be a decent comeback game for him. We were just worried about the prime time action for Cousins there. But I agree. All three games were good except for the second half of the Giants Cowboys game.
And
Everything
it
else
still
was pretty good.
and it still ended in favor of the underdog if you were betting. I think the line was like 9.5 or 10. It ended 8. So sure that screwed people or made a lot of people's days. DeAndre Swift was close to 2 touchdowns.
He was.
He should have had about 75 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. But it is what it is.
All right, let's go on to our first game here. Denver Broncos at the Carolina Panthers. So Denver, Jerry Judy, I don't know. Is he still listed as questionable? I believe he is, but
Yeah.
possibly going to play this week. Does that change this offense? We saw Sutton get going a little bit last week. Obviously, they dropped Melvin Gordon. Seems like Edmonds is injured and is not going to play. So you have Latavius Murray and Marlon Mack. Can we trust really anybody on this side of the ball for the offense? But I would think their defense would be a play. Same way on the other side. You would think their defense would be a play. Sam Darnold being the starter now. Who do we see getting an uptick and I guess a downtick on Carolina's side of the ball?
Well, I mean, we know that one of the teams is going to be at or around 16 points. So that kind of stinks for fantasy purposes if it's going to be a close one. Denver's offense looked better with the new play caller for a couple drives last week, but they still only got to 16. Overtime cut it short with the quick touchdown. Well, Latavius Murray's worth a play against the Panthers' run defense. I wouldn't trust Jerry Judy. He seems to be made of glass. Sutton, I guess, is fine. Dolchich, I mean, he keeps getting his targets. The offense just stays a mess. I'd like to stay away from this game altogether because it could be like a 13-10. I mean, who knows? Sam Darnold could blow up. He's usually good as soon as he comes back to action, then stinks after that. Terrace Marshall's banged up. DJ Moore. I mean, these guys, they drop so many passes for Baker. So it wouldn't surprise me if they catch everything for Sam Darnold. Seems to be Baker's thing. Like whenever he throws to people, they can't catch his ball. I don't know what he puts on it. Deonta Foreman's going to have a tough one again against the Broncos. Wouldn't be surprised if they continue to use the rookies and Chuba more in the pass game to sort of get around this Broncos rush defense. All in all, I'd stay away from this game if I could.
All right, let's go on to the next one here. Tampa Bay Bucks at the Cleveland Browns. Bucks coming off the bye week. There was question about before the bye week who was going to be the starter for the running back position. Seems like Fournette is healthy. Talk about that as well as do we see any upticks as far as the passing game now that it seems like everyone's pretty much healthy in Tampa Bay. On the flip side, Cleveland actually had a pretty close game. Brissett continues to keep on playing well, but this is his last week. As of next week, Watson should be able to come back. What are we thinking about this offense and how does it get rolling, I guess, if they know a QB change is going, and going against the Bucs defense, that's not that bad.
Yeah, I like the Bucs. I mean, a couple weeks ago, said that this train is going to get rolling for them, so I'm firing up Godwin and Evans, no problem. If I need to use Rachaad White, he's going to at least play close to 50% of the time. And if they get up big, they'll probably use him and keep Fournette healthy as well. We'll see if Fournette runs a little bit harder. Those four are fine in this one. Otten, I mean, if that's who you've been rolling with at tight end, you might as well. Julio's been kind of doing his thing from before the bye. With no buys this week, you probably don't need to use him. But I guess he's fine as a wide receiver 3 or a flex. DPJ, keep it going. The rookie, David Bell, right? He's sort of been getting an uptick. So with no buys, and there are injuries, but it seems like not as crazy going in, except for the guys that were like hit the IR this past week. And it doesn't really affect, unless you're a Mike Williams owner maybe or something, I wouldn't trust him coming back even if he plays. And then Cooper. So we'll see if Brissett, plays his heart out, because it's going to be the last one for him. The big thing in this one is, are they going to use Kareem Hunt? Is Nick Chubb going to get going? It's been 2 or 3 down weeks in a row for these guys.
But rainy game, I would think that you would hope that they would run the ball in a rainy game.
Yeah, you got to have Chubb in your lineup. I'm waiting to see a big game with Hunt. I don't think it's going to come till Watson comes. Brissett just doesn't like to check down to the running backs for whatever reason.
All right. Let's go on to the next one here. Baltimore Ravens at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Baltimore in a defensive game last week. I mean, Carolina, nobody could really move the ball. Gus Edwards coming back. Drake didn't have the greatest game last week. Dobbins, I think they activated him, but I don't think he's going to be playing this week. Talk about the run game situation there, and is it only Mark Andrews that you really can play from a receiving standpoint? On the flip side, Jacksonville coming off the bye just picked up Henderson. How does that affect ETN? And then as far as the wide receivers, Kirk is the main guy pretty much, but I mean, these ancillary guys, could they not on a bye week maybe, but is it worth a stash going forward?
Well, for the Ravens, Lamar's going to play. I'm not sure what's going on there. He's pissed off about something. Demarcus Robinson likely isn't going to play. He's been the best receiver for them 2 out of the past 3. So maybe you see an uptick with James Prochet. But yeah, I mean, Mark Andrews really the only one you feel safe about. Gus Edwards is going to play, so that's going to eat into Drake. We can't recommend really either of them anyways, because that goes against my rule, even though I always go against my rule because I forget about not going against my rule. Then there's Duvernay, but Darrell Henderson's not going to play this week. But he's going to be a pain in the butt for ETN owners who have been loving the ETN usage, because they will use Henderson maybe when they get close to the end zone. I can see him vulturing touchdowns when he gets in. That might be one of his only main roles. He'll have like a 20% usage, and it'll probably be when they get inside the 10 type area. And Christian Kirk, you got to keep playing him. Evan Ingram's been doing well. Marvin Jones even had a couple games, but I don't recommend him. This one, because it seems like it's going to be one of the few that doesn't have too much rain, even though I do think rain helps wide receivers, could be one of the higher scoring games of the week, I have a feeling. I think Jacksonville coming off the bye at home, Trevor Lawrence will be ready to beat up on the Ravens' pass defense. They got a good rush defense, but the pass defense can be had.
All right, let's move on to the last one of this video here. The Houston Texans at the Miami Dolphins. I would assume Dolphins is every single person that's on your team just because Houston defense isn't there. But now with the QB change in Houston, could we see an uptick in anybody that we feel like they should be good on this team? Maybe the ball starts moving a little better. And everyone's worried about Pierce, man. Pierce had a down week last week. Going against this Miami defense that's improved. What are you thinking as far as Texans side? And then again, all systems go for Miami.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Pierce down week. But like you said, you get an uptick with Kyle Allen, I think, for Cooks and Collins. You don't have to play Chris Moore or Philip Dorsett at this point. But Cooks and Collins, I think, will be better off. Maybe they'll activate Brevin Jordan again, and we'll see him finally do some things. Davis Mills was just playing terrible like the past 8 games. So they had to make this move, even in a season that means nothing to them. I would like to see Baker go to Houston. It would be a good old fashioned clean swap of Watson and Baker from the Browns to the Texans. We'll see if that happens maybe next year, but they'll be so low they're definitely probably going to draft a quarterback in the top 3 picks or so. And for Miami, yeah, all systems go, man. Why not? Gesicki, roll him out there. The 2 lightning bolts on the outside. And Jeff Wilson, you got to keep playing Jeff Wilson. Going against the Houston defense, Mostert will probably have a game as well. I like both of them this week.
I was actually going to mention Mostert's banged up, so Jeff Wilson is definitely a start. It seems like Mostert hasn't practiced the last couple games, so
okay.
I'm actually in a league that I'm thinking about picking up. Gesicki's actually out on the wire. It's a 10-man league. Are they going to need him though? Is everyone going to kind of get a little bit of love in the beginning of the game, and then what happens from there? They have 13 other tight ends, but I'm in tight end health, so I don't know. It seems like it may be an option.
This will be an interesting one because Miami, it doesn't matter who they're playing. They want to play their offense, which is the guys streaking on the outside and whatnot. And I think they could just go into this one and just run, all day. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I definitely agree. All right. Short and sweet. Like it. Like us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Patreon. Always remember, look for those hashtags. We appreciate you guys watching. We'll be back for the next games in a few minutes.
See ya.